See, Nadja, is there any significance to the thoughts you have whilst in meditation? I find tonight's meditation particularly difficult, with many, many thoughts buzzing in my mind. Thoughts are interesting, to say the least. We give them a lot of attention. They're not actually as important as they seem. But I'll explain how I view thoughts, and I can also talk a little bit about how Buddhism views thoughts. So in Buddhism, they see it as sense doors. We have our hearing, smell, taste, sight, and touch. We have 5 senses. And the 6th sense, which is the mind. So basically, if you touch, if you add a touch sense, if you touch your touch sense, if you stimulate your touch sense, you're going to feel there's touching. If I do like this, I can still feel the agitation on my skin because I've been hitting it. Buddhism views the thoughts the same way. If you give it lots of stimuli, of interesting ideas, or you see things that you have a lot of ideas about, that will stimulate thoughts. Now, I don't know where you live, if you live in America, but if you do, and even if you don't, there's been a lot of stimulation with the election lately. So that means there's going to be a lot of stimulation with, I don't know if this is what's running in your mind, but for a lot of people that is. And so that is going to create a lot of ideas and thoughts and worries and maybe happiness, whatever comes up. And then those thoughts are going to keep on spinning. Even if you, like we do now, we sit down, we close down our senses as much as we can, the thoughts have been bombarded with so many impressions that it keeps on firing. So thoughts tend to move in the direction that you've been pushing them. That's one of the things. The other thing is that when I sat a lot and I was sitting and observing my thoughts, I could see that we don't think our thoughts the way we think. We think we're actually thinking our thoughts. It's more that you lean in one direction and you focus on something, and then the mind goes, it just spits out a train of thoughts. So if you're sitting and you have lots of thoughts running around, that means you're probably been, like I said many times, it means that you've been overstimulating your mind with things, or just it could simply be that you've been scrolling too much on your phone lately, or maybe your child was a bit difficult tonight. I don't know, ours was most definitely too difficult tonight. Oh my goodness, what the hell? There's a demon in our child. Feels like sometimes. And that has a tendency also to spit out thoughts, because then lots of things happen. And if you start reacting towards those things, then the thoughts are going to come like, oh, how can this be happening? What is this? Oh my goodness, what there is. So I tend to never spend too much time analyzing thoughts, trying to figure out thoughts. It's just, it's not going to lead to anywhere. I mean, it can be useful, but it's just wasted time. The best approach to thoughts coming up is just, okay, there's difficult thoughts. What do they feel like? They feel uncomfortable. Okay, good. That's it. We don't need to carry it longer than that. Next time you sit, you feel this, and you focus on how they actually feel more than trying to figure them out. Because what tends to happen is we have a thought about something difficult. I need to find the solution to that. Or something pleasant. I'm going to revel in that thought and really sink into it. I remember a Russian guy that I met at one center, a very nice guy, and he was at a Goenka Vipassana retreat with me one time. Like, you sit for 10 days, like semi-intensive. And afterwards he came up and he told me, wow, that's amazing. It's like, I figured out everything. I'm like, what? What do you mean? Like, oh yeah, I had like, my mind was so clear, and I was like, I made this plan for what I'm going to do with my business, and like all of this. So he had sat for 10 days and just kind of been rolling around in his mind, thinking thoughts, because there were thoughts coming up and he followed them. And so, I mean, did he actually meditate and focus on what was happening inside of him? No, he was just lost in his thoughts. So, yeah, I tend to not give thoughts more attention than they need. There's a lot of people who believe other things and who will run really long thought trains about what they are, where they come from, that you're being channeled to, whatever. I mean, you can do that if you want to. I just personally find that it never leads to anything good. I mean, it's just a distraction. It's more important to learn to experience your reality, what you're experiencing with your senses, rather than trying to look for something beyond here. Here is enough. It's just that we believe it needs to be something different for us to be happy. So if they're too difficult, then you can focus more on one small point and really try to lull yourself into that calmness. There's also other techniques you can vary with to make it easier when you have lots of thoughts. Walking meditation is incredible. It really makes it easier when you have lots of difficult thoughts. And basically most of how we in society view the mind, I mean, mental health is the mind, our thoughts. You're welcome, Nadia. I hope that gave you some clarity. We're so over-focused on the thoughts, and people try to create with their thoughts, and they just really spend a lot of time with their thoughts. If they would spend equally much time in their senses actually experiencing the world around them, people would be a lot happier than if they would try to figure things out. See, Nadia, that makes a lot of sense. I've had a day off work, so thoughts have had no structure at all day. Yeah. That also can happen, like when you don't have any, when you have structure, the mind is more focused on certain tasks. And then when it's free, then, and I mean, you don't have any planned tasks, then it can run away. Really interesting also, like I said, with social media and how we use our phones. There's a lot behind that and what the mind does.